don't delete it. Okay. Okay. Are we ready to get started, Brandon?
We're ready.
All right. Fantastic. So first of all, by now, many of you would have been in the university for some period of time now, so you've had access to Sellchology. You've seen different components of it at each different stage that you're all in the university. So I appreciate that. This is, I think, our first time doing a stream like this, and so this is our semi-formal, informal kickoff. A little later than normal, but here we go. Again, for introduction, I'm Jonathan Dawson, founder of Sellchology, and depending on how familiar you are with Sellchology, you'll know that Sellchology is how to sell through psychology and how to help customers buy from you. I want to do a very quick 2-minute overview and introduction, and then I want to get into some things that were sent over as topics for today. So Sellchology was really created with you in mind. It's designed to help you move the customer through the process by understanding the road to the sale from an emotional and psychological perspective. As many of you will relate to this, even if you have the right product, even if you have the best price, if a customer does not emotionally and intellectually understand that, if they don't believe you, it doesn't matter. You can actually be selling the lowest priced option in the world for that vehicle, but if the customer does not believe you, it doesn't matter. And so how a customer feels and what a customer thinks about you and about what you're doing through the process, in my opinion, is more important than the process itself. So you can have the best steps of the sale in the world, but if customers don't follow those steps, it doesn't matter. So what I want to do with Sellchology is help you recognize the patterns of success, the patterns that allow a customer to consistently choose to do business with you. How do you elevate your authority in the marketplace? How do you elevate your influence with your next customer? And then as you go through the content, the psychology of sales, the psychology of people skills, the psychology of life skills, and the psychology of marketing skills, progressively these skill sets build on each other and give you more confidence that you can more effectively navigate the sales process, or I should say process, right? So that's what Sellchology was designed for, and that's what it's all about. As we today discuss, we're going to be focusing on referrals a little bit. But before I get into the content, I want to take a second and introduce you to Jarrett, who many of you by now will have heard from and maybe even talked to. So Jarrett, say hi to your team.
Hey, everybody. Again, my name is Jarrett. It is nice to meet you all. I'm probably the random guy that messaged you all with the Sellchology email. That's me. A little bit about myself. I actually started in the car business right after college. So I went from selling cars on the floor to internet sales, and now, happily, I'm working with you all. A little bit about more of what I can do for you all. One, you can reach out to me at any time. I'm always here. You can call, ask any questions. That's my job. If you see something in the university that you don't understand, ring me anytime. I always put my personal cell phone number in every email, so you always have it. You can text, call, FaceTime, Facebook Messenger, whichever way you feel comfortable. Any way you can reach out to me.
Cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jarrett. So let's get into some of the questions that were sent over. Specifically, the topic of the day is referral generation and self-generation of traffic. And so the way it was sent over, and this is kind of where you guys can help me out a little bit. We're going to have a little open Q&A for a few minutes. It says to talk about the pluses of calling referral leads versus leads generated by orphan donors or different lead sources. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then it says generating your own leads versus working through the dealership database. And then, of course, just best practices for when you do get a referral, what do you do with it? So I'm going to do a little quick survey of the room real quick and just kind of ask about referrals. And so if you can give me some feedback, this will help me navigate the conversation. Right now in the room, I see, I'm going to go ahead and pin the video here so I can see larger. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I see about 12, 13 people in the room. If you currently right now are on the regular selling referral customers, which means it's a normal occurrence of your business. You expect it to just happen naturally. In a month, if you don't sell referrals, you feel like something went wrong that month because you normally do. If referrals is a natural part of your current business model, please raise your hand so I can see who in the room's already doing that. So I see 2, 3 hands go up, maybe 4. Okay, so again, to ask the question again for clarity to make sure I get the right answers from the room. Right now, if a normal part of your monthly projection is that you will have referrals as part of your monthly sales goal. So if you set a goal of, let's say, 15 cars, you expect that at least 2, 3 or so of your month will be referrals. That's normal for you, and you expect it. If that's what I'm asking first. Is referrals a normal part of your monthly projection? You know you're going to sell referrals that month. That was the question. Again, please raise your hand so I can see if that's you. Yep, the same people. So no more. How many?
About 7.
Oh, 7. Okay, I can't see everybody then. Okay. So the rest of you, that the referral is a bonus when it happens. It's nice, but it's not part of your regular plan. It's not part of your business model, and so forth. Let me start by talking to those who raise their hands, the 5 or 7 people that raise their hand. Is referrals currently representing 50% or more of your business? So what I mean by that, and I'll group into referrals, let me make it broader. Not just referrals, but self-generated business, where it's not generated by the dealership's traffic or by advertising, but the people coming in and asking for you, whether they are a referral, a repeat customer, or some other social media prospect, but you're generating 50% or more of the business every month is coming from your reputation in the market. If that's you right now, half of your sales or more, please raise your hands again. Help me out, I can't see the room.
Yeah. 0. Like every month?
Yes, on the regular, yeah, every month. Anybody?
Probably 1 and he's not here.
Okay, fair enough. All right, next question, and then we'll get into some content. Next question is this. Based on the way you treat your customer, based on the way you help them, based on the way you take care of people, based on your sales approach, if you currently believe that you should be getting more referral sales than you're currently getting, and you're not quite sure why they're not higher every month, if you think you deserve more referrals, you just don't know why you're not getting them, could you please raise your hand if you think you should be getting more? If that wasn't everybody, I have to understand why that wouldn't be everybody. So it should be everybody, right? So the real question then is this: for those of you who are not yet at 50%, or for those of you who don't yet get a regular referral business, what's the main reason that's not happening? If you believe you're taking care of your customer and you believe you should be getting those referrals, my question for you is why is that not happening on a regular basis? And specifically, how do you make that more of a regular occurrence? So I want to start by looking at the way that you approach the referral strategy overall. I want to break referrals specifically into 2 major categories and then show you how to build a referral-based business. Because I have students who are doing what I said to you, over 50% referral or self-generation, many of whom are doing it even in their first year of being in the business. A lot of times salespeople think that you've got to stay at the same place for 3 to 5 years to get to referrals. It's not true at all. You can self-generate very quickly a healthy book of referral and self-generated business, but you must do it intentionally and strategically. So let me show you what I'm talking about here by doing a shared screen real quick. So everybody should see this whiteboard. Do y'all see the whiteboard right now?
Yep. Yeah.
Perfect. If you're taking notes, this is the place to start taking notes. I'm going to get into some strategies, some concepts, and some specific things you can do, okay? So here's for the note takers in the room, the first thing I want to do. Referrals, they fall into 2 major categories of referrals or types of referrals. You have passive referrals and you have proactive referrals. So let's look at them categorically real quick as a way of generating business. You have 2 different business models. Both of them can create referral business for you. I would recommend that you combine the 2, but let me show you what I believe most people do first. Most people initially start with just a passive referral strategy. Passive referral strategy, what I mean by that is that the referrals just come in to you by simply people showing up or asking for you. So for example, let me kind of again break this down for you. A passive referral is where by virtue of the job you did, you sell a car to Mary. Mary then tells a coworker or a friend about you. That friend, Joanna, comes into the dealership or calls you and says, hey, you sold a friend of mine a car. I'm looking for a car. Mary told me to come see you. That's a passive referral in the sense that you did something one time, and then because of that effort, your customers are sending people into you, but you don't know they're coming. They're initiating the contact to you. You're not initiating the contact to them. That's a passive referral. A proactive referral is where you sell a car to Mary, and then you say, hey, Mary, I'd like to be introduced to your friends and family. Mary gives you the name Joanna and a phone number for Joanna. You then call Joanna, start the conversation, and bring Joanna in. Passively is Joanna contacts you first. Proactively is you contact Joanna first. So that's the difference, just so you have a definition that you're working with. So if we take a look at this, under the passive referral model, right, this is where customers come to you. There's essentially 3 kind of guidelines you need to have in place to generate a healthy book of passive referrals. The first one you need to do is really simple. You need to stay put, which means stay where you are. If you dealer hop, if you go to different stores, if you move around a lot, it's harder to build a referral business as a salesperson if people don't know where to find you. So just don't switch dealerships every 3 months or 3 years, and you can build a referral business that way. So stay put is the first rule. The second rule is simple. Stay in touch. So if you stay in touch with your customers, you can build a referral business. Obviously, the more a customer is contacted by you, the more different diversities of contacts you have, the more a customer remembers who you are, the more likely they are to send in their friends and family. And so stay put, followed by stay in touch. I say 6 total contacts a year is plenty, as long as there's a diversity of a medium of your approach. So for example, out of the 6 total contacts, you might have 2 phone calls. Out of the 4 remaining, you might have 1 letter, you might have 1 or 2 emails, and then you might have 1 other method like a Facebook comment or message, or possibly a go see where you physically go see them. Maybe you send them something of value. But as long as you have about 6 contacts where you directly are contacting your customer throughout the year, that should be plenty as far as staying in touch. The third of the principles is to stay outstanding. Sorry, my pen here is acting goofy. Stay outstanding. You have to stay outstanding. If you're not an outstanding person, if you don't have an outstanding business model, if you don't stand out from the crowd, don't expect a lot of referrals. After all, very few people will refer somebody to something average or mediocre, right? You're not likely hearing a friend say, hey, you should go check out that new restaurant. I hear it's mediocre, right? I've never been referred that way. No one's ever said, that movie that just came out, it was really mediocre, you should go see it. Doesn't happen. That's not how people recommend usually. They recommend things that stand out, things that are outstanding. And so as long as in your process, you're constantly trying to figure out how to be more outstanding than your competition, how to stand out from the crowd, if you stay in touch, if you stay outstanding, and if you stay put, you can build a passive referral business over time. If you've been selling cars at the same location for 3 years and your current business is not 50% or more self-generated, and this is a little bit of an accusation, so if this is affecting you or if I'm talking about you, please understand I'm only accusing you because I care about you, but this is somewhat of an accusation. If you've been at the same store for 3 years or more and you do not have 50% or more self-generated business, one of those 3 things is missing. You have not been staying in touch, or you have not been outstanding as a sales professional. It's one of the 2. Because if you've been at the same store, you've stayed put. But if you don't have 50% referral business, it's simple. You're not that outstanding, or you're not staying in touch as well as you could be. Because if you combine those 3 things over 3 years, you should be self-generating at least 50% of your business. So once again, if you're at the same store for 3 years or more, and you don't have 50% business, examine which of those 2 things is really missing. Am I just not staying in touch in unique ways, or am I not being outstanding in unique ways? That's got to be your accusation. That's got to challenge you to look in the mirror and say, what am I not doing? All right. Now, let's switch to the other side, proactive. If I want to self-generate business, remember, passive referrals are people that come to see me. Proactive referrals is people that I go to see, right? This is me putting myself in front of an audience. The way that you get proactive referrals is one primary method: ask. So that's basically the rule. Ask. And then after you've asked, you take action. That's it. It's really simple. The main thing is just to ask. You have to ask to be introduced to the customer's friends, family, and network. If you're not asking to be introduced, you're simply not going to get introduced. It's not the way it works. People do not voluntarily give you names and numbers of friends and family. People do not voluntarily introduce you to their coworkers. People do not voluntarily invite you to come speak at their club or church. People do not voluntarily open up their phone book and give you their contact list. People do not voluntarily just say, let's go Facebook Live right now so that my friends will know who you are. The only way you proactively get referrals is you must ask for them, and you must take action once you ask for them. So those are your essentially two different business models: passive and proactive. Under the passive, you have 3 simple principles. Under the proactive, you have 2 simple principles: ask for them and then take action. Now, let's take a look at what I mean by that. When you sell a car today, the very next customer that you sell a car to, or even, for example, last month or even this month, people that you've sold a car to, every customer you sell a car to has a natural sphere of influence, a network, if you will, of people that they could introduce you to. What you must do is you must ask for the introduction if you want to get more proactive referrals. All of my top students, all of them, who are selling 50% or more referral business and doing it in a shorter period of time, I'm talking in as early as less than a year, every single one of them is doing the proactive approach. The proactive is the absolute fastest way to get more referral sales. The passive approach is the continuous way over time. The proactive is the kind of instantaneous way that you do it. That being said, let me ask in the room here, if you are currently at time of sale asking customers for an introduction to their friends and family, actually asking them to give you names and numbers or to introduce you to friends and family proactively, not saying send people in to me, but me saying introduce me to someone right now. If that is what you're doing, please raise your hands. I want to see who is currently doing that. I can't see the whole room, so somebody has to tell me whose hands are going up.
Big fat 0.
0, okay. If you are currently not asking for referrals in a very direct manner, I want to ask you a follow-up question, and it's why not? What is keeping you from doing that? And I think I know one of the 2 answers, but I want to hear from you. If you're not asking for referrals at time of sale, what's the main reason you're not doing it? Somebody please speak up and tell me. Somebody speak up. Talk to me. All right. Pink shirt in the back of the table in the corner. It looks pink to me. Who's that?
The new guy. It's big.
Jake. Thanks, Jake.
Jake?
Yeah.
Jake, wave at me, brother. Hi, Jake. So Jake, tell me, if you sold a car and did not ask for referrals, why didn't you do it?
Well, I would say it's a bit of hesitation because it's a total stranger, and possibly lack of communication or connection from me to the customer, I would say.
Okay. In what way, though, if you can elaborate? I'm not sure if I understand what you mean by lack of communication or connection with the customer. You just sold somebody a $30,000 car, and I'm saying I want you to ask that person for some referrals. What's the reason why you're not asking them? I'm just asking, is it a logistical reason? You don't know what to say? Is it an emotional reason? You don't have the confidence to say it? What's holding you back?
Well, possibly, I would say more of the confidence. Since I'm fairly new here, so speaking from myself,
Okay.
confidence, I'm building on that.
Okay.
And then another things possibly I'm thinking, I should have worked more on getting to know this customer initially.
Okay.
Then that would be more comfortable to ask.
So you may feel like you don't have the right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right, across the table from you, there's a gentleman in the corner with a hat on, baseball hat. All right, who's that?
It's Aaron.
Hey, Aaron. What's up, Aaron?
Good. That's good.
All right. Are you asking for referrals, Aaron?
When I'm doing outbound calls, I am asking for referrals, but an actual delivery, that's something we need to work on.
Okay, so you're saying at the outbound follow-up call after the sale, you'll ask them for referrals.
That's right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And if I may, how long have you been doing that? How many times a month do you do something like that?
Like doing the calls, like.
Yeah. How many times will you ask on a follow-up call? Will that happen 3 times a month, 10 times a month, 15 times a month? How many times a month will that probably happen? That call.
You see, the thing is, if after doing the delivery, there's always on the VIN or on the CRM, there's always a follow-up task or referral call, and
Yeah.
every after I deliver something, it's gonna appear in my CRM, and I do a follow-up call just to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. And then I referrals.
Yeah, Aaron, I understand that part. I'm asking how many total times will that actually happen in a month? How many of those calls will you make? 4 calls, 12 calls, 22 calls? How many on average of those types of calls will you normally make in a month?
That's a good question.
How many do you sell a month? How many you sell a month?
I sell average like 8 to 12 cars every month, so that's
Okay. So between 8 and 12 is 10, right?
yeah. So yeah, that's
so 10 in a month,
yeah,
right? 10 in a month.
Yeah.
So on average, and this question applies to everybody in the room, not just Aaron, but it applies to everybody. If that's happening 10 times in a month, my question to you is, on 10 different times you ask, how many total names and numbers are you being given every single month from customers? How many total names and numbers do you get?
Because see, there's a lot of Filipinos in our community here, so I get about 2 to 3 referrals every month.
Hold on. Specifically, what I'm asking is, you make 10 phone calls and ask for names and numbers. You ask for referrals. At the time you're on the phone with them, while you're talking to them, how many people, how many total will give you names and numbers, and how many total names and numbers do you collect? That's what I'm asking for.
Oh, that's the problem, because I'm doing
Just answer the question.
Zero.
There you go, 0.
Yeah, 0.
Okay. We took the scenic route to get there, but the answer was 0.
Every time.
Okay. All right. So just to be fair, everybody in the room, I already knew the answer was going to be 0. So I needed you all to realize, whenever you have a process that doesn't work, it produces little to no results. That's your clue that what you're doing doesn't work. Okay? Your clue is it produces little to no results. Any process that you do that produces little to no results should be examined and then possibly eliminated. Okay? Asking for referrals the way you're asking now, if it worked, it would produce a result. It doesn't produce a result. The way it's being done doesn't produce a result. So stop doing things that don't produce results. Now, here's the clear difference though. Do not then not do anything, because this is the mistake many people make. I used to ask for referrals when I was at the delivery, but no one gave me names and numbers or referrals, so I stopped asking, period. Please understand me. I'm not saying don't ask for referrals. I'm saying don't keep doing it the way you're doing it if the way you're doing it doesn't produce a result. So you still should ask, but you should ask in a way that produces a result. Most of you in the room are not getting referrals, names and numbers from customers. In fact, if I asked you in the room, again, please be honest, how many names and phone numbers from customers in the form of a referral lead, how many do you currently get per month on average? Is anybody getting a 1-to-1 ratio, which means I sold 12 cars, I collected 12 names and numbers, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. Is anyone in the room getting a 1-to-1 ratio right now? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So here's the thing I want to share with you. You should set a new standard for yourself of a minimum acceptable threshold of how many referral introductions you should be given per sale per month, which means if I sell 10 cars, there's a minimum threshold that if I don't get at least this many names and numbers per sale, I am not doing it right, okay? There's a minimum threshold per sale. A 1-to-1 ratio means I sold 10 and I collected a total of 10 names and numbers. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. I would say, conservatively speaking, if you use my approach, the minimum standard you should set for yourself is 10-to-1. For every one sale, you should collect 10 names and numbers per customer, on average, a minimum of 10. Many of my salespeople will get 50 per customer, 50 per sale, which means if you sell 10 cars, you're going to collect 500 names and numbers for introductions. That's the minimum many of my salespeople use. I'm giving you the challenge to set a new standard for yourself of what you will no longer tolerate. And you should not tolerate in an entire month selling 10 cars and not collecting a minimum of 10-to-1 names and numbers, which means going into the next month, going into May, you should have 100 introductions to start the month off. Now, everybody in the room, if that was possible, if you set that as a standard and if you achieved it, if you finished April with 100 new introductions going into May, does anybody in the room think out of 100 introductions you can't figure out how to sell at least 1 or 2 more cars from that? Anybody think that would be impossible? Okay. So then the real question has to be, how am I going to get these introductions? I'm going to give you a sequence of questions, and I'd like you to write them down. I'm going to then give you where you can see this happen live on video, so you could see it actually go down. But I want you to write down a series of questions that if you will literally, and I mean actually, read your notes, actually read the notes I'm giving you to your next sale, you might get your first list of 10 on your very next customer today, if you follow what I'm about to show you. And I'm actually telling you, I want you to actually read the notes to the customer. You're going to say, folks, I just learned something today in a class, and I've been looking for the right person to help me with this. I'm going to read my notes to you. Please pretend I'm not reading. Can you do that for me? They will say yes. Then get out your notes and read them, and you'll get your first list of 10, okay? Here's the first thing I want you to do. The first question I want you to write down. It's a little bit cumbersome. Listen to it first. Don't write yet. Listen to the language, then write it down. Here's the wording. Based on your experience with me today, if you had any friends or family ever in the market, would you feel comfortable recommending me to them? That's the question. Please write it down. Based on your experience working with me today. Based on your experience working with me today, if you had any friends or family ever in the market, would you feel comfortable recommending and endorsing me to them? Based on your experience working with me today, if you had any friends or family ever in the market, would you feel comfortable recommending and endorsing me to them? Based on your experience with me today, if you had any friends or family ever in the market, would you feel comfortable recommending and endorsing me to them? Now, I'm going to do a spot check real quick, so make sure that you guys have decent notes. Let me ask the blonde lady on what looks to be my right side of the screen, across from the guy with the blue shirt and the blue tie. Yep. That lady that you're pointing at. Read to me your notes, please.
Based on your experience working with me today, if you had any friends or family ever in the market, would you feel good recommending them to me?
That's exactly right. That is question number 1. Nicely done. Now, I'm going to ask you a quick question about that. If you had to guess what is the magic word in that technique that makes it possible to get a large list of names and numbers, what is the magic word? Can you figure out what it is?
Ever. Comfortable.
Say it again.
Ever.
Say it louder.
Ever.
Say it one more time louder.
Ever.
Can everybody please say that, please? What is it? That's right. That is the magic word. And the fact that you identified that is actually pretty impressive, because most people, it takes them a lot longer to figure out what the magic word is. But the magic word is the word ever. Why is ever the magic word? Why is that word so important when it comes to getting a large list? Why?
Because you're not asking right now.
That's right. You're not saying right now. You're saying if you knew someone who was ever in the market for a car. Ever includes ever, right? Which means I'm not trying to pin you down on who's going to buy a car today or tomorrow. I'm saying in the future, at any point, if they were ever in the market for a car, would you feel comfortable recommending me? And the answer to that question is a resounding yes, of course I would. So that's what makes that the magic phrase. Now, beyond the word ever, there's the second question that we want to ask, which also has its magic phrase. So again, please listen first, don't write, just listen, and then you can write it down. Question 1 and 2 together sounds like this. Based on your experience working with me today, if you had any friends or family that were ever in the market for a car, would you feel comfortable recommending and endorsing me? Your customer says, yes, of course I would. Question number 2, out of all the people you know, how many do you know that you think would like me and the way I do business? Of all the people you know, write this down, please. Of all the people you know, how many do you know that would like me and the way I do business? Of all the people you know, how many do you know that would like me and the way I do business? Write it down, please. Of all the people that you know, how many do you know that would like me and the way I do business? Of all the people you know, how many do you know that would like me and the way I do business? Now, this question is also interesting because I'm not asking them how many people do you know that are in the market to buy a car. I'm not saying how many people do you know that are going to buy a car next week. What I'm asking is how many people do you know that would what?
Like me and the way I do business.
That's right. That's what I'm asking. So let me get the notes. Again, I'm using the guy in the blue shirt and the tie as my anchor point. What's your name, sir? I can't tell. Who's who?
That's Rick.
Blue shirt. Oh, hey, Rick. Sorry, it's grainy and I can't tell from my screen here. Hey, Rick, good to see you. So Rick, to your right is the gentleman in the black, men in black.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Read your notes, 1 and 2, please. Go ahead and read them.
Based on your experience working with me today, if you had any friends or family ever in the market, would you feel comfortable recommending and endorsing me to them? Of all the people you know,
Yep.
how many do you know that would like me and the way I do business?
Brilliant. Thank you so much. This wonderful note-taking. You've successfully written down the first 2 questions. Third question that I want you to ask. Third question, okay? Question number 3. You're going to ask this. Would it be okay if I asked you for a personal favor? Would it be okay if I asked you for a personal favor? Question number 3. Would it be okay if I asked you for a personal favor? Now let me go ahead and give you questions 1, 2, and 3 again together. And I'm going to modify the way they sound a little bit because I just want you to get comfortable that the basic technique is going to be the same, but the wording can be changed a little bit based on your customer and your personality. As long as you have the essence the same, you should be fine. So here's a version of it that you I might say. I might say, hey, Rick, you know, I've got a question for you based on your experience with me, and I'm just curious, you know, how you would feel about this. But, you know, based on working with me today and the experience that you've had with me, let's say at any point in the future, if you ever had anybody in the market for a car in your network, would you feel comfortable, you know, recommending me and endorsing me based on that experience you've had today? Go ahead and answer, Rick.
Absolutely.
I say I really appreciate that, Rick, and I'm curious, you know, of the people that you hang out with, the people you associate with, you know, friends, family, neighbors, and coworkers and such. If you were to guess, how many of those people do you actually think would like me and the way I conduct myself and the way I do business? If they were going to buy a car, how many of them do you think would like working with me?
All of them.
I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. So, you know, sounds like you hang out with some really smart and cool people. if you feel like I helped you out a little bit today, I'm working on a little project. Would it be fair if I asked you for a personal favor? If you feel like I helped you, could you help me with something?
For sure.
Okay, so what I wanted to do was just demonstrate for you that the essence of my questions was the same, but the delivery was different than what I'm having you write down. So I want you to be comfortable that what I'm having you write down by itself is perfectly fine. You can read your notes and get a result. But as you get comfortable with the 4 questions, totally cool adding spin to it, totally cool adding variety to it, have no problem with it. As long as the essence components are the same, you can totally make this different and make it up to your own specs, okay? So let's get to the 4th question, final question on this sequence. The 4th question goes like this. Please listen, don't write, just listen first. Listen, look up here, look up here, look up here. All right, I can see you, look up here. All right, here we go. 4th question is simply this, would you feel comfortable recommending me and endorsing me to the people that you think would like me if I can show you how? Would you be willing to recommend and endorse me to the people that you think would like me? So that's the question. So let's write it down. Here we go. Would you be willing to recommend and endorse? Would you be willing to recommend and endorse me to the people that you think like me or would like me? Would you be willing to recommend and endorse me to the people you think would like me? And that's the question. Would you be willing to introduce and endorse me to the people you think would like me? All right, men in black, you took the notes. To the right of you is a guy taking notes on his phone. Men in black. Yep. Who's that?
Brett.
Yep. Brett?
Yes.
All 4 questions, Brett. Go.
All right, based on your experience working with me today, if you had any friends or family that were ever in the market, would you feel comfortable recommending and endorsing me to them?
Yes, I would. Go.
All right, of all the people that you know, how many do you know that would like me in the way I do business?
Everybody I know. Go.
Perfect. Would it be okay if I asked you for a personal favor?
Sure, of course. Go.
Would you be willing to recommend and endorse me to the people that you think would like me?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. What do you have in mind? All right, perfect. That's the setup. Nicely done on the notes, everybody. Good job. All right, now watch what I'm going to show you. There are like 11 different ways to ask for referrals that are inside the Sellchology University in the marketing segment. There's like 11 different ways to ask or something like that. I forget how many, but it's something like that. I'm going to show you one of my favorites that is one of the simplest ways to ask. If you follow what I'm about to show you, you will get your first list of 10 today, okay? Here's how you do it. It's called the contrast principle. It's called the contrast principle. If you remember from the Sellchology, at the beginning of the Sellchology, I teach you the 8 influencers of people's behaviors. One of the influencers is called contrast. It's where you contrast 2 ideas side by side, making one of the ideas seem more obvious than the other, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example of this that's a visual aid example, and then I'm going to show you how to use this when you're asking for referrals. But let's say, for example, if I say to you right now, is that a big box? Yes or no?
No.
Is that a big box? Yes or no?
No.
No. Now, is that a big box? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, is that a big box? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, did the box ever change?
No.
Okay, so what changed? Why did your answer go no, yes, no? Why? Did you notice how that worked in your brain? You see, I took the same idea, which is that box, and I changed how you feel about it or what you think about it by how I contrasted it to something else. That's the contrast principle, using a visual aid like that. Now, what I want to do is I want to get my first list of 10. In order to get my first list of 10, I'm going to use contrast to make 10 seem normal. I need to make 10 seem small. In order to make 10 seem small, I have to contrast it to something else so that the number 10 sounds small. So if this here represents 10, and this here represents more than 10, what would that number represent?
25.
Let's call it 25. Which means then this one might represent 50. So listen to the language, and here is how I do it. I say, based on your experience working with me today, if you had any friends or family that were ever in the market for a car, would you feel comfortable recommending and endorsing me to them? They say, yeah, of course I would. I say, great. Out of everybody that you know, how many people do you know that you think would like me and the way I do business and conduct myself? They say, gosh, John, everybody I know would like you. I say, that's awesome. Let me ask you another question. If you feel like I helped you a little bit today, would you be willing to help me a little bit today? Could I ask you for a personal favor? They said, of course. Yeah, what do you have in mind? I say, would you be willing to introduce me and endorse me to some of the people that you think would like me if I could show you how? And they say, yeah, what do you have in mind? I say, well, here's what I've got. I've got a sheet of paper here. What I would really love, if you could help me out, is if you could write down 50 names and numbers of people that you know that you think would like me. And if you can't do 50, I would certainly take 25. But since you said you'll help me, I'm not going to let you leave without giving me a solid 10. Can you do that for me? And that's the request. I'm looking for 50. I'll take 25. But since you said you'll help me out, got to give me at least 10. And the customer will say, I can do that. And because of contrast, asking for 50, then going to 25, and then giving them an exit point at 10, the average person will gladly write down 10 for you now. If you ask for the old way, who do you know looking for a car? I don't know anybody. Who do you know that I can sell a car to? I don't know anybody. Who do you know that would like me? Everybody. So you have a choice going forward. Ask them one question and get nobody, or ask them another question and get everybody. I personally would rather start with everybody. Once they start giving me the list of the 10, once they give me that list and they write down the 10 or more names, I'm going to ask them to please put a star next to the people they specifically think are more likely to be in the market than others. So they might star 2 out of the 10 people, at which point I'm going to say, thank you so much for that. And I've got now a master list of referrals, people I can start with. Does that make sense to everybody in the room? Yes? No?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so here's the thing. If you're currently not getting 50% of your business from referrals, it's probably because you're not staying put, you're not staying outstanding, or you're not staying in touch. If you're doing those things, but you're still not getting there as fast as you want, it's probably because you're not proactively asking for the referrals. Now, Jarrett, I'd like to get them over the referral request form, the formal one from the group. Okay?
I'm writing it down now.
So inside the coaching group, Jarrett, I need you to download both Word docs for the team and send them over to the team. Now, right now, as of now, you guys are not members of my private coaching group. I'm not going to beat you up over that. I'm just going to tell you there's a lot of stuff in there that you don't have access to because you don't have access yet. If you were in the group, you would have access to these documents that I'm sending over, plus a bunch more stuff. But for now, I'm going to send over the documents as my gift to you because I like you. And in the documents, Jarrett, the 2 ones I want to send over are these 2, please. Jarrett, send over the one, the referral request form letter, which is the one they can send to last month's business. You can go back up to 3 months with this letter and use this as a template and send it backwards in time to your previous customers. Then you're going to get another one that's going to be going forward in time for using with every customer starting today. One sheet asks for, I believe, 8 or 12 names and numbers. One sheet has structure for like 8 or 12, I forget, something like that. The other sheet has lines for 40 names and numbers, 40 per customer. Remember, contrast is really important. You're going to get your first list of a 10. It's easy to get 10 when the list has up to 40, and they're just giving you 25% of the list. It's easy for people to do that. All right, so that's the 2 sheets I'm going to give you. Now, real quick, Rick, we're running up on like 50 minutes, and so has this been helpful so far?
Yeah, really good.
Okay, here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. Hold tight for a second. I'm going to show you one thing real quick, and then we're going to go. This is, I don't know if you can hear that music. Could you hear that music just now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you a couple things real quick. All right, can you see this YouTube video? yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is the video of Alex Sumner, one of my students, breaking the previous record, which was 352 referrals from one sale. The previous record was 352. We're talking about getting 10 right now. One of my students got 352 from one customer at point of sale. This is the video of Alex smashing that record. You can find this video by Googling Sellchology record. Put it into Google and this video will pop up. Sellchology record. Now, if you play this video, you're going to actually see that he's about to ask for referrals. You should be able to hear it, but you'll see the text on screen. All right, here we go. We're almost done. Which, by the way, this part's really important. This is
my top sales guy.
How you doing?
This is the commitment statement he had the customer sign during the negotiation. Can you read that? I will buy and drive right now for $5,000 down, $425 a month, and I will try to break the referral record of 352. That was during the commitment when he was getting a commitment from his client during the negotiation.
We have Monica and Sherry here. We've just done a pretty good deal here with them, and they seem to be pretty happy. So I'm going to send Alex in to.
Okay. Could you guys hear that audio or no? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So he's about to ask for the referrals. Here he goes.
Questions I have here is, based on your experience out of your entire friend group, would you have anybody that would ever be in the market for a vehicle that you would feel comfortable recommending you to and even maybe endorsing you?
That's question number one. Here's question number two.
Like me and how I do business best.
I think all of them, everybody I know was like.
Awesome. I really appreciate that.
Question number three.
Would it be fair if I ask for a personal favor?
Question number four.
All the people that you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. That's all I would hope for, because I want to keep our referral business going for years to come and create.
And here's the result a minute later.
So we are doing referral sheets right now. Okay.
Each of those sheets is the sheet that Jarrett's going to send over that has a spot for 40 names and numbers on it. You see, they both have their phone open. They're going through their contact list, and they're writing down names and numbers from their friends and family, and they're transferring that to this contact list.
All the cool people in the club.
All the cool people in the club. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
They just bought a 2016 pre-owned Ford Expedition from us today.
From the Big P in Peoria, Florida.
All the cool people.
So we are, okay. So as the journey continues, these guys did a great job for us. They have, as you can see, filled out 540 referrals for us. Thank you, guys.
They wrote down 540 names and numbers from their phones combined. It took them 2.5 hours to do it. After they bought a used car, they spent 2.5 hours writing down 540 names for a salesperson. Okay. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm saying get 10. If Alex can get 540, which by the way is no longer the record, he set the record that day. A week later, it got broken. It got broke by 560. That only lasted a little bit. Then it got broke by 767. Then another guy got 816. Then another one got 940. And the current total record from one sale at point in time where the customer literally transferred their entire phone list is 1,482 to one salesman at point of sale. Literally transferred their entire contact list to a car salesman. So I'm not asking for you to get 1482 today. I'm asking you to get 10. Okay? 10. What I'm doing to you right now is called the contrast principle. I'm not asking for 1482. I'm not asking for 940. I'm not asking for 816 or 767 or 680 or whatever. I'm not at 640. I'm not asking for 540. I'm asking for 10. Can you get someone to give you 10? The answer is yes. if you read your notes. That's what you got to do. All right, I'm wrapping things up. Final questions, comments, concerns about this for now. How do you guys feel? Is this crazy? Are you excited? What are you going to do?
Exciting. Good stuff.
All right, Rick, whoever at your store gets the most names and numbers between now and next Saturday, okay, I'm going to give it to the top 5. The top 5 collective. Write this down, Rick. Top 5 people who get the most referral names and numbers on the sheets. Most names and numbers, top 5 people. I'm going to do another private session with just those 5 people. And we're going to talk about how to explode your business even further. The top 5 most courageous, the people who get the most total names and numbers, verified by management, you 5, I'm going to do a private session with just you 5, and I'm going to show you how to take it to a whole nother level. Top 5 people in the store. Okay, Rick?
Got it.
Okay. For now, guys, just get the names and numbers. Everything else will happen after that. But for now, you've got to build a referral-based mentality. Every customer that you sell a car to, set a minimum standard for yourself, whether it's 10, 25, or 50. But do not tolerate selling cars to people without creating referrals after the fact. You should not be thinking that way. You should be trying to generate a referral for every customer that you sell. You should be generating passive referral opportunities from that point forward. All right. If you recorded this session onto your computer, you have this to share with other people who missed the meeting. I'm not going to beat you over the head with this, but if you were in my private coaching group, you would see a lot more of this stuff and a lot of it more often. I ain't saying, I'm just saying. All right. Jarrett, you know which 2 documents? Get them emailed over to Rick within the next half an hour so he can get those. Okay, buddy?
Will do.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Appreciate you guys. Making a great day. Bye.